Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl. I'm not dead. No, I know I've been slow these past few days. I'm really sorry. Honestly, I'm not even joking when I say the guilt keeps me up at night. But regardless, the reason why I've been slow is because I've been trying to work on my own health recently, mainly trying to get some proper good sleep. So that means no editing till 3 in the morning. I hope that you can understand. I'm getting better and I am getting into a routine, hopefully. I'm just not good at routines. At all. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's born with me. Born bad? Is it born with me or bad with me? I think bad with me. I don't know. It occurs to me, I don't know how to say that. Huh. Anyways, yeah, I'm working... Over these past few weeks, I haven't actually stopped working on videos and all that. I've just slowed down and taken more time to not be on the brink of mental collapse. But, I'm working on getting a microphone. A proper microphone. Which should be pretty soon. Hopefully. I'm working on a video on the Killithid as well, which is a pretty big one, considering I go into depth and explain a bunch of stuff related to the Illithid as well, to give context. But, yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to work on this smaller and a lot simpler to produce video on all the paintings in the Gungeon. I've isolated all the paintings, all the sprites at least, for every painting in the Gungeon, separated them by floors, given them little names based on what I would call them, keeping in mind the names in the video are not the official names, because the painting sprites don't actually have names. They're stored in pieces in the same folder as the wall textures, and the wall textures are all numbers. So these paintings don't have official names, I've just named them things that I think are fitting. I'm going to go through them now, because videos I might make in future may rely on information I have here, and I always think it's a good idea to establish this stuff beforehand. So anyways, now that I've explained my absence, this first painting is of a large bullet wearing makeup, eyeshadow, and all that, lipstick, with rosy red cheeks, and some sort of gown or dress, or maybe that's a throne behind them. I called it the Bullet Queen, because it definitely seems to be the pompous, noble woman stereotype, but as a bullet. Possibly a relation to the current Bullet King or the old king, and might have something to do with the two thrones in the bullet's past. Next up is the first-person shooter castle, which is painted from a first-person perspective of someone holding a gun, at a yellow object in a blue brick tower which is holding a gun pointing back. One thing to note about this painting is that it depicts an outdoor area with lots of greenery, which is not something that a painter from inside the Gungeon would know about. Here we have a painting depicting a red shotgun kin and a bullet kin having a sword fight, of all things. With swords being unholy, this is weird. Again, with my last point, it takes place outside in a place seemingly quite green. Next we have this painting depicting an anthropomorphic bomb. I just googled anthropomorphism to make sure that that was the correct term to use, and the Wikipedia teaser image, the largest one at least, is the sloth from Zootopia. I don't know why I find that funny. It's not funny. Moving on! This bomb isn't the kind of bomb that the pinheads are, it's the kind of bomb that Fusilier is. It appears to either be panicking or celebrating its fuse being lit. Here we have the young king depicting a young bullet king standing on a pedestal. I've called it the young king because the crown seems a lot bigger, the robes seem a lot bigger, etc. It seems like it's a smaller bullet, but then again, who knows? It took me a while to work out what was happening in the background, whether that was blood or some sort of red sky against an ominous cityscape. It took me far too long to realize that they were just red drapes behind it. Next I'm going to move on to the smaller paintings present in the Keep of the Leadlord, starting with the Pale Bulletkin. The most notable thing about this, hence the name, is that it is incredibly pale, beige even. Even its lead is beige. I have 3 theories for why it could be pale. 1, this is something that can happen to bullets as they age. 2, this is a species of bullet that no longer exists within the Gungeon. Or 3, the subject depicted as wearing some form of makeup to make themselves appear paler. And the Elderkin in the next image is a pale bulletkin like the first one, with bushy eyebrows, a white beard, and some sort of wreath or crown around its head made out of what I assume is gold. Something I realized about the Elderkin is that it's specifically stated in the description of the Minelets that Minelets are the only members of the Bulletkin capable of growing facial hair. So either pale Bulletkin are in fact a different species that are also capable of growing facial hair that have just gone extinct, or the beard in this painting is fake. I personally choose to believe that it's fake, because the idea of Bulletkin wearing fake beards to look old amuses me. Here we have what I've called the alternate pinhead, which is a grenade. And that's pretty much it. There's not even any real way to tell if it's a pinhead, because, you can't see the legs if there are any. But it's a grenade of a different type to the ones that make up the pinheads, so either this is just a portrait of a grenade, which, let's be honest, wouldn't be out of place in the Gungeon, or it's a different species of pinhead. And here we have the Princess Bulletkin, depicting a Bulletkin wearing lipstick with flowing red hair, somehow, and a tiara of sorts, probably made out of silver or lead. We have a portrait of just a normal revolver, and a gun knight in the similar style to Cormorant, wearing some sort of iron, steel, or probably lead armor. Here we have a Rubberkin wearing a jester's hat, presumably being a court jester to the Bullet King or some other royal. And a portrait of a Shotgunkin that's a visual gag on how low the Shotgunkin's faces are in comparison to the rest of their bodies, because its face isn't in the frame of the portrait. We're almost at the end of normal portraits for the keep, with this portrait of a Gungerer, and the Gatling Gull. Now, the portraits of the Gatling Gull aren't particularly interesting, but there are a multitude of them. There's at least 8 different portraits of the Gatling Gull that can appear throughout the keep. Sometimes the change is just as small as looking from left to right. The final painting in the keep is this one, of a pale old man wearing black robes, holding aloft a bullet that appears to have eyes of some sort. The bullet glows with weird energy. Now, this painting is only found above the fireplace in most fireplace rooms in the keep. Now, most people believe that this is of the gunslinger who initially created the Gungeon in the first place, and I'm inclined to believe that. As of the bullet, I have no idea. That's all for paintings, but I'm going to quickly run through the banners present in the keep, because, banners, paintings, what's the difference really? Now, these banners aren't scattered around randomly like paintings, they only appear in specific rooms, such as the Bullet King's boss room. For example, these purple banners depicting ridiculously long bullets, a large banner depicting a big old bullet, a smaller banner depicting a whole clip of bullets, and this massive behemoth banner depicting the Bullet King, sparkling for some reason, and a couple crowns. They're pretty unremarkable, and there's not really much interpretation as to what they could depict. Now, I'm going to go on to the paintings present in the Abbey, but first I want to run through the banners in the rest of the game first. This is going to just be quick, since there's not much to talk about with each banner. Banners in the Gungeon proper behave more like paintings on the first floor. They are scattered randomly. There are 2 states of each banner, destroyed and intact. They are as follows: a green banner depicting 3 bullets, a red banner depicting a knife for some reason, which goes against the Gungeon's theme, a purple banner depicting a crosshair, a blue banner depicting 2 handguns, a white banner depicting a skull and crossbones, and a green banner depicting a circle of some sort that may represent an eye. It might be a primer, possibly? I don't know what that's supposed to represent. Banners of this nature also appear in the Hollow, of which there are only 4, and they do not appear in both destroyed and intact forms. They are as follows: a blue banner depicting a crosshair, a magenta banner depicting the Bullet King for some reason, or possibly the Old King before his fall, a white banner depicting what might be a primer or an eye or something. Again, I don't know, it's just a circle with a hole inside. And a reddish, purplish banner depicting another clip of bullets. I said it'd be quick, so now we can move on to the paintings present in the Abbey, starting off with this portrait of the High Priest pulling back its hood the same way it does in its boss intro. Nothing really remarkable. Now, I've talked about this painting before, but it's a portrait of the imps present in the Marine's past, summoned by the interdimensional horror. It's one of the largest pieces of evidence that ties the horror to the Gungeon, but I'm not going to go on a tangent about it now because I've discussed it in my videos about the horror. Here we have a portrait of the fallen Bulletkin, found only in Bullet Hell, showing that yes, the Abbey is fully aware of Bullet Hell. And a portrait of the Vampire Mantis. Now, I like the Vampire Mantis. If you don't know what the Vampire Mantis is, it's a cut boss from the game that I made a video about yonks ago. Yonks ago. The absolute yonks ago of this video. This is like, probably less than a year. Who knows? But I made a video about it a while ago, and it's pretty unremarkable. I'm considering making another video about it in future with what I know now, in a similar style to the way I'm planning on doing a video about Bunker. But basically, Vampire Mantis, cut boss. This is the portrait that makes me think that the Vampire Mantis would have appeared in the Abbey since its portrait appears in the Abbey. Next up we have these four paintings that I call the Punishments, depicting a Bulletkin in various states of distress, such as being shot full of arrows, being hung by the ankle, being drowned, and being set upon by birds, which doesn't sound nearly as bad until you remember that birds in the Gungeon have been observed to devour a giant corpse in mere seconds, so this Bulletkin may not have long to live. Here we have a portrait of a red shotgunkin wearing a blue ruff and sticking its tongue out. It has magnificent eyebrows, and I don't know why I noticed that. And this portrait of a light blue shotgunkin with a key embossed on its shell. Again, I'm not sure what this is for, why it exists, etc. But it exists. It's interesting. I think so, at least. I don't know how interesting this is going to be. Next we have a rubberkin standing in front of a bag of money, and amidst what appears to be blue bricks, which might be a reference to the brick of cash. It appears to have stolen it, either that or gotten very lucky. Now this next portrait actually has some discussion to it. I've heard people claim that it's a portrait of the old King's Chancellor without his hat on, and that the old King's Chancellor must have no slug or something. However, this is really easily debunkable because when you kill the old Chancellor, his hat comes off, and you can see that he does have a slug. So that's not the case. I don't even know why I mentioned it, just in case anyone was curious. But that actually raises another question, because the only creatures in the Gungeon we see animated without a slug when they should have one are the zombie-like Spents and the undead mummified gummies. While it's difficult to tell from just this pixelated portrait, this cardinal seems to be, somewhat in control of its mental faculties, unlike the Spent. So it's possible that the cardinals have a way of removing their slug while remaining conscious. And remember, to bullets, the slug is basically the brain. Next we have a picture of another pale Bulletkin in chainmail, it seems, in the style of a typical knight. And something. I have no idea what the second portrait represents. It might be the barrel of a gun? Like, my best guess is it's the barrel of a gun with someone holding onto it, or it's the barrel of a gun wearing a straw hat, maybe? I don't know what it depicts. I have no idea what this portrait is. Feel free to tell me if you can figure it out. I have no idea. Moving swiftly onwards from my incompetence, we have a pale Bulletkin in a nun's habit. Nuns aren't really a thing in religions inside of the Gungeon as far as we've seen, so this is interesting. This portrait here sheds more light on the pale-kin in general, as it appears to be a pale red shotgun-kin with a significantly shorter slug, probably just to fit it in the portrait though. This is the only example of a pale shotgun-kin being shown in the game, despite pale-kin appearing in a bunch of different portraits. Speaking of pale-kin appearing in a bunch of different portraits, here's another one with an oddly elongated slug with a cross on it. Now, at first I thought this was odd because, you know, crosses are a Christian symbol, and the Gungeon has its own symbol, which is the crosshair. Now, the crosshair is obviously parodying the Christian cross, but is not just straight up the Christian cross. So maybe this is an oversight by the developers, or maybe this is supposed to be a crosshair with just the bottom part of the crosshair a bit longer. It's difficult to tell with such few pixels. And on the right, we have a picture of the High Priest, or so it would seem to be the High Priest, wearing blue robes instead of his usual red. Now, I don't know whether to see this as remarkable or boring, because I don't know how feasible it is for the High Priest to be able to change his clothes. Is he a spirit that just possesses the clothes, or are the clothes part of his body? Is he just the gun? I don't know. And that's the end of the paintings in the Abbey. Now, I have a bit more to show you relating to banners like I did with the first floor, but it's pretty swift, so we'll be over soon. We have a picture of a long bullet underneath another circle with a hole in it, which I am forced to assume is some sort of primer. It seems to be vibrating, possibly? I don't know. And the infamous banner of Caliber, the Gungeon goddess that I've gone over in a different video. And finally, the Old King's equivalent of the Bullet King's mega banner, this mega banner, depicting the Old King, as you probably expect, along with dual AK-47s. And so, yeah, that's it for this video. I really apologize for being so slow. I am working on larger projects. I just thought I'd, you know, make and release this smaller video just to give you something. My nose has been a bit blocked recently because of hay fever and a whole bunch of different stuff, so I hope I sound okay and not too... Anyways, see ya!